Hello, this is Mr. Smarthorn giving you a short lecture on market failure. Now, this is a lecture that you can use to understand the topic of market failure. At the same time, this is also a lecture that you can use and that I would advise you to read and to follow and to use that to help you supplement your intermezz work, the one on that I've drawn up for you during the computer, the ICT day. Okay, so I would advise you to read this and observe this video first prior to answering the questions arranged for you during the ICT day. Okay, so market failure. What is market failure? I remember earlier on I gave you a lecture about merit and demerit goods. Okay, now all those merit and demerit goods are one of those are keywords you would use and key ideas you would use in this big topic called market failure. All right. Now, market failure. What is market failure? Remember, earlier on in your first introduction to economics, when you first started the course, I created a video for you to watch about the allocation of resources, and then I said that the most efficient way to allocate resources is the free market using the price mechanism. Okay, now that what I just told you is only half the truth. Okay, that the price mechanism can allocate resources efficiently, but really, the question I want to ask you is, what happens if that price mechanism fails? Okay, we say that price mechanism is used in the free market to allocate resources, but what happens if that price mechanism fails? Can that price mechanism fail? Yes, it most certainly can. Alright, so when it fails, what is the implication for allocation of resources? Right? What is the implication on allocation of resources? Okay, so when prices fail to allocate resources efficiently in the free market system, we say that market failure has taken place. Okay, so market failure really is about the failure of the price mechanism to allocate resources efficiently. All right, and if you remember what I told you about your efficient allocation of resources, in an economy we should have economic efficiency, which means that we have allocated resources in a way that maximizes the welfare of the people in the economy. Okay, so market failure really is about the failure to efficiently allocate resources in the economy. Okay, for me to illustrate this whole idea, it's best to take an example. Okay, in this example, I'm going to use a demerit good, which I've often drummed up in class, and it would be the humble cigarette that you see down there. Excuse me for my drawing, I'm not an artist, but I've done my best here. Okay, so that's the cigarette, and that's what you see there is smokes. Okay, you see those smokes coming out, the red stuff from the top tip of the cigarette, those are smokes. Okay, now assuming that the buying and selling of this or selling of these cigarettes take place in a market where the market clearing price is P0 and the quantity demanded, the market clearing quantity is Q0. Okay, now we assume that P0 is the amount paid by consumer, and they would expect P0 worth of private benefits. Okay, the price amount per unit of the cigarette represents the benefit that the consumer will get by paying for this cigarette. Okay, so of course they want to benefit from smoking that cigarette, they pay price 0. Price 0 represents the benefit that they get from smoking the cigarette. Okay, at the same time, P0 also represents the private costs of production of that cigarette for the producers. Okay, so in this market we assume that what the consumer pays is what the producer gets. So P0 represents both the benefit received by the consumer as well as the costs paid to the producer for producing the cigarette. Okay, P0, Q0. Okay, remember, cigarette is a demerit good. Okay, now what happens when you smoke? Now, what implication has that for the society? Okay, and I remember I lectured to you and I told you that smoking gives off smokes, and that would be unhealthy to society. And then, as you can see, this when you smoke, someone's going to get ill. Okay, in this case, I've used someone smokes with, in this case, okay, smokes, and Adi receives the second and inhales the second-hand smoke, and he's coughing like crazy. Okay, now forgive me for using wit and Adi. I could well have used Xingyi smoking and Adi receiving the second-hand smokes. Okay, but forgive me for short of being creative. I've decided to use wit and Adi. Okay, so as you can see, the smoke that wit gives off when he smokes, the demerit good cigarette, is giving Adi a coughing time, probably causing him to have lung problems. Okay, so so smoking gives health problem to others. Okay, when someone suffers a health problem from second-hand smokes, they have to spend money to cure themselves. Now the problem is that price P0, given price P0, okay, which is the price paid by wit to buy the cigarette to smoke, okay, that P0 does not represent any resources being allocated to the sufferer, the third party. Okay, it only represents the benefit of the consumer, the smoker, but it doesn't represent or allocate any portion of the price to the benefit of the third party, which is the sufferer of the second-hand smoke, and it certainly does not represent the amount of medical costs that, in this case, Adi will have to pay to cure his lung problems. Okay, so the third party, which is Adi in this case, okay, his welfare in society has not been taken care of. Okay, he's suffering from a buyer and a seller involving in an economic transaction for which his medical bills are not being compensated for. Okay, so in this case, we say that the price has failed to consider the external costs that Adi has to pay to cure himself. Okay, so we say that the private buying and selling of beg your pardon, we say that the private buying and selling or the consumption or production of the cigarette has incurred an external cost to a third party. Okay, now the true benefit to society should include the external cost as well. Likewise, the true cost to society should also include the external cost as well. Okay, so in other words, what is the real cost to society from a person smoking and a producer selling cigarette? It is not just their private benefit and their private cost. They have to consider the cost and benefit to society as well. So the real cost to society really is you really need to include the external costs suffered by the third party. Okay. Likewise, the benefit to the society from smoking isn't just the private benefit that wit or the smoker here enjoys, but it's also the loss of benefit, okay, that by someone else, which is in this case the loss of benefit would represent the cost that Adi has to pay to medicate himself. Okay, all right. So the total cost to society, the true cost, in that true cost you have to also to take into consideration the external costs, and the total cost to society, total benefit, to society really is the benefit including the external costs or suffered by the third party in this case. Okay, so here you have it, the equation for the actual social benefit and social cost, as you can see. Okay, the true benefit and cost to society from the consumption and production of a demerit good, such as cigarette, would therefore be social benefit equals external cost plus private benefit on the consumer side, okay? And the social costs for producers would be social cost is equal to external costs plus the private costs, right? So ultimately, when the social costs and the social benefit takes into consideration the external cost to society, okay, we will input the cost to society. The price mechanism has to take into consideration the medical costs of the third party, the sufferer of the second-hand smokes. Then we can have a new price called PS here. Now, PS then represents the actual social costs and social benefit. And at this point, the new social costs and the social benefit will be equal to each other. And at this new equilibrium ES, okay, at this new equilibrium ES, that's when the market, the economy or the market is once again back in equilibrium, whereby resources are efficiently allocated. Okay, it's once again back to be efficiently allocated because the external costs of the sufferer has been included inside the entire equation. Okay, the price PS represents resources being allocated to the sufferer or the third party as well. Okay, if it is not included inside PS, then society really, or the economy or the market here is really not in equilibrium at all, and it would not be in a state whereby resources is efficiently allocated. Okay, so here you go. You have the actual flow. Okay, now so far, if you look at this diagram, you can see the seller and the buyer. They are considered the first party and the second party, first and second party. Okay, or first and second party. Second party. And the sufferer of the external cost really is the third party. And you can see that from the smoker, the buyer, after he smokes, he transfers the smoke to the third party who has to suffer the external cost of medicating himself. Okay, now that effect, that external cost, that effect from the second-hand smokes has a name. That negative effect is called a negative externality. Okay, so smoking actually creates negative externalities on a third party. Okay, so the negative externality is not a good thing. It's not a good thing. Okay, and it is given off by a demerit good. Okay, and what really a negative externality is it's a spillover effect from a transaction. Okay, the transaction would be a buying and selling transaction between two people, between the consumer and producer, who here are the first and second parties, and of which their action will cause an external cost on a third party. Okay, a cost on a third party for which the third party is not being compensated for. Okay, not being compensated for. Alright, so as you can see, the smoking gives off this negative externality, and the third party here is suffering. Okay, and his cost, medical cost, is not being compensated for. Okay, and that's due to the negative externality that is suffered by the third party. Okay, so that being done, so we've been talking about the negative externality all this time. Okay, about smoking. So how about I talk about something else? This time we'll talk about a merit good. A merit good, as you know, a merit good is something that is, if left to the free market, it will be underproduced, but it produces positive externalities, positive externality to society. Okay, an example here would be the use of the vaccination for dengue or H1N1 virus. Okay, dengue or H1N1 virus. Okay, you are being vaccinated against dengue. H1N1 virus. Okay, so after being vaccinated with the antivirus or the inoculation, the medicine. Okay, what happens is that you will become healthy, and you can actually spend more time, more healthy hours, more productive hours, because you're healthy and you're not going to be affected by these viruses, and you become more productive at work. At the same time, you can also volunteer your time to do charity work because you're healthy, and those people receiving your charity volunteer work, they benefit free of charge from you, right? Okay, and it's all because you have been given the H1N1 or dengue fever inoculation that makes you healthy. Okay, so that H1N1 vaccination, when you receive it, when someone receives the H1N1 vaccination, that vaccination gives off a positive externality. Okay, a positive externality, which really is a benefit, unlike the cigarette, which is a cost to society. The H1N1 vaccination is a benefit to society, right? Okay, so the consumption of vaccine does not give off an external cost, but external benefit instead to society. The true benefit to society, therefore, is social benefit is equal to external benefit plus private benefit. Social cost is equal to external benefit plus private costs. Okay, so this external benefit actually reduces social costs. Okay, so what we see here in this diagram is P0, Q0 is where market failure occurs because they have not considered the positive externality that can be obtained from the consumption or the being injected with the H1N1 by the serum, right? So once that is taken into consideration, society actually benefits more, okay, more, and you can see that when society benefits more, the cost, okay, to society is actually reduced because it's a benefit. You can see that the price drops from P0 to P S, which is the price to society. The price to society is actually lower. Okay, it's actually lower, but the benefit to society actually is a lot higher. So it's not an external cost, but an external benefit. And because it's a benefit, it actually lowers the cost of production and pushes the supply curve out from S0 to S, which is the social benefit to society. That it reduces the cost. It reduces the cost to society. Okay, this is a benefit. Okay, so at ES, once again, the social cost at ES, the new equilibrium, social cost is equal to social benefit, and the welfare of society is maximized once again as resources are again efficiently allocated. Okay, so what is a positive externality? A positive externality is therefore a spillover effect from a transaction between a consumer and producer, which produces an external benefit which is enjoyed by a third party for which he did not pay. Okay, so there we have a short lecture on market failure. What you need to know is you need to know the definition and the meaning and the understanding of the terms that are used here, because the market failure has got many terms, the usage of many terms, and each term represents an idea or a way of a thought or a theory. Okay, so you must understand the words and the theory and link these words and theory together in order to do well for this particular topic. Alright, so all the best. If you don't understand this lecture, go through it again, once, twice. If you still don't understand, SMS Mr. Smahon or drop a line and I will promptly attend to you. Okay, thank you very much.